Told that you have an addictive personality? So have many others. And that sounds pretty scary, doesn't it? And whoever told you that, you ready for this? Whoever told you that doesn't really know how to help a person who has an addiction. And just even that label in itself is quite scary to most people, because it seems like it's something so overwhelming, so insurmountable, so difficult, so like, oh my God, this is a character flaw or a personality flaw, or all these other people are strong, but I can't be strong. And that is absolutely inaccurate. So, your hypnotherapist has quite some interesting news to report about the truth of this, okay? There is no such thing as an addictive personality, and there's nothing wrong with you. You're not weak, you are not broken, you are not stuck. There's nothing wrong with your genetics. You don't have to try harder. You don't need to go cold turkey. I don't even I don't even know. Okay. So let's see, where shall we start with this? Now, needless to say, okay, let's look at the facts, okay? Obviously, I would imagine that if you are addicted to whatever this thing is and you're frustrated about it because no matter what, you can't quit. I understand that the long term ramifications of that habit are probably not a good idea. I agree with you on that. And you probably have already figured that out logically. Exactly. So, therefore, you might have started to decide that you would like to break free of this addiction. How about we stop calling it that? And instead, we call it what it actually is. It's an unwanted habit. Okay? If we're going to use big, intelligent words, let's just be on point and accurate. So that's how I prefer to frame it, because that is truly what it is. It's an unwanted habit. That if I continue this habit, it will have negative long term ramifications, and I would like to not pay the price for that. That's a lot more accurate than labeling somebody with big, scary words that cause them to think that, oh, there's something wrong with me or I'm weak. Not true. The truth about this unwanted habit, addiction, whatever you like to call it, I'm not even gonna. The truth is that, okay, so there's the conscious and the subconscious, okay? Your subconscious is in control. Now, you might think you're in control. Mm-mm. Your subconscious is always in control unless and until you actually start working with your subconscious. Your subconscious is in control of your habits, your behaviors, your thoughts, your dominant thoughts, your beliefs, your core values, your imagination, your intuition, just to name a few. And so, can you now see that it's actually your subconscious that controls that behavior, that unwanted habit? And so many people try to fix this with logic, which is a good start. That's the conscious mind. Logic is a little bit of willpower, decision making, bit of self discipline. Great, that's a good start. But now, the minute we realize and decide that in the conscious, now we've got to get working in the subconscious. And by the way, whether you go visit AA or you pay for ridiculously expensive treatments or rehab or whatever, none of those, your therapist, none of those work with your subconscious. They all work with the logic. You should quit, and it would be a good idea. You should try harder. You should work harder. You should force yourself. And the methods that are being used by these very, very expensive rehab and treatments are, it, I want to actually call them almost inhumane, because again, they don't really know. I don't mean to judge, but look, why else would people come to me as a last resort and then have these high expectations? And by the way, they should have high expectations. Every person who comes to me, I want you to have high expectations, because this is actually going to work. And the biggest complaint that I hear from so many people who come to me as a last resort is, I have already done everything, I have tried everything, I've spent a lot of money. I have given my energy, time, and attention to all these other therapists and interventions and self development groups and classes and master classes and business coaching. And I've heard it all before, only to find out that it worked mediocre ish. I don't stand for mediocre ish. We're going to get the job done. But again, we're talking about hypnotherapy, not your traditional therapy, not traditional coaching, because we work with your subconscious. And when you logically know and understand that your subconscious is responsible for your habits and behaviors, those things that you do on autopilot. And how many people tell me, I've tried to quit cold turkey, I've tried to stop XYZ, but I can't, whether that's gaming or overworking or shopping, or all the same. In my book, it's all the same. I'm less interested in what is the addiction about and more interested in, look, would you like to find a solution, a process that will actually work? And hypnotherapy happens to be the golden child here. And by the way, I'm not taking responsibility for all of hypnotherapy because that would be foolish. I can only speak on behalf of my process. So if this whole lie about addictive personality were really true, then my clients wouldn't have been able to quit all of these very difficult habits within one, two, or maybe three sessions. You did hear that right. So, look, it's really important that you understand when you're getting into these, whether it's a rehab, whether it's a treatment center, whether it's going to AA, whether it's going to, sitting in whatever, we must ask the right questions. What is this going to do for me? How is this going to help me? What's my responsibility here? You know, and I explain to my clients the reason all of those things don't work is just thinking alone or understanding the problem is not the answer. I appreciate all the whatever little emojis, whatever they are. So, look, let me know if you guys have any questions about this subject because so many people are stuck in this position, right? And are frustrated. Very often, this comes with a lot of shame and blame and guilt and regret and bad health. True, but unfortunately, this is unwarranted shame and guilt and regret because this is not your fault. You can't fix what you don't understand. Let me repeat that. This is so important. You can't fix what you don't understand. And you cannot change something if nobody has shown you how to change this in an effective way, in a quick way, where you apply something that actually works. Imagine the concept of that. And if you do not know that there's a system behind habits, meaning the conscious and the subconscious work together. In the case of addiction, here's that crazy word again, they work opposite of each other because the conscious mind says, hey, I should quit. I need to stop this. It would be so good for me. I know what I should be doing. Great. That's logic. Cool. But then you don't do it. Why is that? Because the subconscious runs your life and often ruins your life, unbeknownst to you. Subconscious simply means there is information that is underneath your conscious awareness. As your hypnotherapist, I and you look at what's underneath the surface to help us understand what is causing this habit or this addiction. And I promise you, typically there is a story, a history, some sort of experience that is tied to this, where the root cause of that habit started whenever. And when, instead of therapizing people and pathologizing and treating them, what we do here is we empower them. I will give you a technique and a process and a method on how you can break free of this addiction. Again, scary word that propaganda out there wants you to believe. And it's despicable to me. Guess what? If, right, if we convince people that this is that they have an addictive personality disorder or right, then obviously we can easily push a pill on them, right? A capsule a day keeps the depression away. Really? Says who? How do we know that? Yeah, it might alleviate some of the symptoms, but Does it fix the depression? No. And just like so many of these treatments out there, no, they don't fix. You might kick the can further down the road. You might get temporary relief. It might work for a little while. My clients want permanent results and they want it now. No problem. I am one for speed, love speed. I don't like to, hold people hostage and keep them here I just don't like, there's no need to build dependable clients. It's just not something that I'm a fan of. So again, instead of treating symptoms or complaining about the symptoms and the problems, we go right to the root cause. And in closing, um so wait, I just want to look at, okay, comments here. An addictive personality could be addicted to anything. That is true, not just a substance. Exactly. I'm glad you're helping people though. Me too. Thank you. Thanks for this comment. You're absolutely right. And that's exactly why so many people go to rehab and they try to convince me it worked or hey, AA saved my life. Yes, I do believe that. But when you have a real conversation about that person and you ask them about the aftermath, often you will hear the story, oh, yeah, well, I don't drink anymore, but now I vape. Exactly, right? Or now I have anger issues. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a substance. It usually comes down to a habit or a behavior the person doesn't like. So very good distinction here. I appreciate that. People who get hypnotized find other addictions after. Not in my world because we're going to get the job done. This is why I say I'm not just fixing the addiction, so to speak. We are getting to the root cause on finding out what is causing for this person to look for an activity like that. What is their real need? Because I promise and guarantee you, every behavior, yes, even suicidal ideations, addictions, procrastination, self sabotage, every and all behaviors underneath the surface have a positive intention. And when we look at what is it that the person really needs and wants, that's what I mean by getting to the root cause, because that person might need relief. They might need a way to control stress. They might need a way to, vent, whatever might be. They might need a way to be able to be, whatever might be, right? So there's a root cause. And when we look at what's the positive intention and we give the person the ability to fulfill that positive intention without the substance, now the conscious and the subconscious can finally start working together. And that's the goal here. So that you can be like a well oiled machine, so that when you say something, you want it this way, it will do it. Because again, it's the subconscious that is in charge of your habits, behaviors, your actions, and most importantly, the ones that are on autopilot. So there's this really false propaganda that you need more willpower and you need to push yourself and force yourself and you need that pep talk and you need a motivational video. And no, you just need to understand how the system works. And if nobody has shown you how to work with your subconscious, no wonder it hasn't worked. It really is as simple as that. And again, I just want to emphatically remind people that I am only speaking on behalf of my process, Susan Urban Hypnotherapy, because I also have had conversations with plenty of people who said, I've already been hypnotized. I already tried that. Yeah, not with me, you haven't. So again, I'm not going to take responsibility for somebody else's work who may be incompetent or immature or they don't really know what they're doing. It's not for me to decide that. It either worked or it didn't work. The proof is in the pudding, and that's what I stand for here. I want to see after that first session, I want to have a conversation with my client, say, "Hey, how you doing today? What's different? What's new? What positive and powerful shifts have you experienced?" And they always will, even after just one session. So I wanted to share this video today, which we probably need to do a lot more of this to really help people understand, no, you're not broken. You are not weak. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with your genetics or your brain chemistry or your personality. This is literally a subconscious program that is running the show on autopilot, unbeknownst to you. But the minute you gain access to the whole system, you get to be in control of it. And you get to tell the subconscious, hey, stop running this program, start running this program instead. It's as simple as that, mechanically speaking, practically speaking, right? And then once you have the experience and you get to see how this really works, and by the way, yes, we can do this virtually. This happens naturally. There is no need for dangerous side effects or any kind of this is a no-brainer. So, and I promise to my clients who very often after working with me, they will be, they'll say something like, oh my God, I should have done this much sooner. Why didn't somebody tell me about this? Well, I am telling you. That's exactly why I'm here. It is my duty and my privilege to share with you. This is available. Anybody can gain access to this. This is not difficult to do. Implied, you're working with somebody who is competent and confident in their skill. So keep in mind what I learned about the process of hypnotherapy. It took me quite a while because even though all the certifications and yada yada, teachers and mentors, yeah, but most of those certifications are really not worth. I learned most importantly with my clients and through my clients until I finally found a system where it's like, this is solid. So that's why I call it Susan Urban Hypnotherapy, not just any and all kind of hypnotherapy. I'm not going to speak on behalf of, because just like in any industry, we know that there's the good, the bad, and the ugly. So that's just, again, common sense. So thanks, you guys, for being here with me. Let me know what questions you have about this subject. Yes, I do offer a free consultation. It is in the link below if you want to chat with me, you want to have a conversation, how this works, and all the other things that you may want to find out about this. Most importantly, okay, just let's wrap this up. In closing, remember, 99% of your behaviors, your actions, your daily tasks, all the things you do on a daily basis, the things you like about yourself, the things you don't like about yourself, everything in between is controlled by your subconscious. Nobody tells you this. Your doctor doesn't tell you this. Your therapist doesn't tell you this. Your teacher doesn't tell you this. Your parents certainly don't know about this. Your priest, let's not even get into that. And no, none of those puppet masters know either. I will tell you that that's why you need to work with your subconscious if you want to gain permanent, long lasting results. And people often battle with willpower. I need to be stronger. I shouldn't be so weak. I need more self discipline. All these other people are stronger. Then somebody compares themselves mercilessly to other people, or even, think that they need to get into this expensive rehab and who knows what, which, like I said, often comes with guilt and shame and regret, unwarranted. Because when you understand how the system works and you work it, it will work for you. Period. End of story. So I will see you next time. Thanks for joining me. And in the meantime, leave me a comment, like and follow, all that good stuff. And I'll see you next time.